Hi everyone, Inclusionista Tourista here. I think this is my third or fourth video. I think I'm still working out the purpose of this vlog really. So there's lots of things that I want to talk about. And maybe I should just sort of like do videos for different things that I want to talk about. So at the moment, my videos are light and fluffy and they are highlighting all of the fantastic places that I've been to. In the background, you can see Margot getting a fuss from Andy. Say, hello Margot, hello Andy. Lean over and say hi. Nice. Okay, so since I last put up a video, we're now in Europe. So we got the ferry from Southampton to Santander on the 3rd or 4th of July, and it's now, what, the 28th of July. So a huge amount has happened. But we got to Santander, and the first place that we went to was Portugal. Absolutely beautiful place. The weather was fantastic. We stayed in a really gorgeous farmhouse just outside Sintra. Can you see that? This is the Pina Palace that we didn't actually go inside because it was really inaccessible, and also the queues were like absolutely hideous. So we just kind of mooched around outside, found some fantastic accessible parking, and the three of us just mooched around the town. Oh, access was terrible, I've got to tell you, really bad. Cobbled streets everywhere, it was a nightmare, but it was a very pretty town. These towns were kind of clearly established long before disabled people ever got anywhere near kind of like their communities. We were either sort of didn't exist, or we were kind of like sort of locked up in all sorts of institutions, never getting out on the streets. So now getting out on the streets of these kind of places is really, yeah, it's really tricky. Okay, so while we were in Sintra, we did a day trip to Lisbon. What a great place. We've been there before. Me and Andy went there on our first holiday 17 years ago, and oh wow, that city has changed, let me tell you. Really busy, really expensive. Oh yeah, and access was a nightmare, but I still love the city. Then, while we were in Sintra, we stopped off a place called Cabo de Roca. I think I put up a film not that long ago about it. This is the most westerly point of Western Europe. This postcard doesn't really reflect the weather on the day that we went to Cabo de Roca, in that it was it was very windy, not sunny, quite overcast, quite busy, but it's still quite interesting, the fact that we were as close to America as it's possible to be from Western Europe. That was quite exciting. Okay, so next from there. So I need to tell you, whilst I'm collecting postcards along the way, I have been a bit rubbish in the next couple of places that we stayed. So we drove from Sintra all the way down to Albufeira, which is on the Algarve. Stayed in a really lovely place outside Albufeira with a really nice swimming pool, but with some not very nice dogs. Margot, yeah, they kept growling at Margot, not great. But we did go on a day trip to Villamora, which is a very sweet place next to Albufeira. It's a little bit Stepford Wives, but very, very accessible, super, super expensive. Then we crossed over the border, although you wouldn't know it, because guess what, in Europe there are no borders. Let's not talk about Brexit. And then we went to Seville. Now, I had bought a postcard for Seville, but I posted it to a friend of mine. So instead, I've got some rather lovely cards that represent the home of flamenco, that is Seville. Oh, do you know, Seville was gorgeous, but access was a nightmare. Also, I pranged my car. I don't even want to talk about it. Then, from Seville, we took a short drive down to Malaga. Went down to Malaga to Marbella. Forgot to. Well, I got a postcard from there, but I've lost the postcard. The reason for going down there was to stay with a couple of really good friends of ours, Penny and Roger. I've never been to Marbella before. Yeah, it is really accessible. Oh God, it's a bit kind of what would you say, Gord?
Posh Benidorm.
It's posh Benidorm. Yeah, it's posh Benidorm. Don't tell Penny and Roger though. And then From there, we went to Malaga Airport because we took a flight to Gran Canaria. Gran Canaria, this is Gran Canaria. We've got a couple of friends that have got a holiday home there, Justin and Dean. And probably the secret reason that we went to Gran Canaria is so that we could take Margot on a plane. The great thing about flights inside Spain is that you can take a dog in the cabin. So we went to the most outrageous expense to pay for Margot to come in the cabin with us in a bag so that we could go and see Justin and Dean. And that's the postcard. 3 days there, yeah, it was what I expected it to be, really, which is just lots of British people, a lot of British activities. I mean, it was very hot, super hot, but probably not really our cup of tea. Anyway, so we flew back there and we took a slow drive to a very, very pretty place called Altea, which is just north of Benidorm. Altea is super pretty. It's kind of like Seville, but by the sea. And we stayed in the most gorgeous Airbnb with a great host called Anita, who was originally from Austria. As you can see, my fantastic husband Andy is prompting me with all the facts that I've forgotten. Altea was great. Access has proved to be just really tricky throughout this holiday, I have to say. I'm getting around on the scooter, but only in certain places where the pavements are kind of like not cobbled. There's a lot of cobbles in Spain, let me tell you, a huge amount of cobbles. The car's been playing up. I think I said that already. We took it to a Citroen garage in Valencia. I'll come back to Valencia. They say there's nothing wrong with it, that we've got too much rubbish, too much luggage rather. So we've, anyway. So from Altea, it was my birthday in Altea, I need to tell you, 22nd of July, for those of you that have forgotten. And for my birthday, Andy took me to Benidorm for the afternoon. Don't know if you've ever been to Benidorm, it's a bit of a shocker. It is really accessible. And there are loads of wheelchair users, and you can hire mobility scooters just about every place, but they are super expensive, and they even have ones that are like double scooters, but they're really expensive. And so loads of people are hiring these scooters, driving around Benidorm, getting smashed whilst driving around scooters, and then driving around scooters and Benidorm completely smashed. So we did that the afternoon. I'm very grateful that we didn't stay any time in Benidorm other than the afternoon. But it was very, very hot. Gorge, how hot was it in Benidorm?
35 degrees.
It was 35 degrees. We left Margot at home, which I think was a very good idea. We also got the tram in, which was fab. And then, 4 days ago, we went to Valencia, back to Valencia. Oh, I'm absolutely in love with Valencia. Not only is it a really accessible city, the food's fantastic, the place that we stayed was lovely. Oh, yeah. The people were lovely. There's just a much more chilled out atmosphere in Valencia. Much more. And it's the sort of place that I think we can imagine living.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And cycling.
And cycling around, yeah. So one of the things, we did a number of things in Valencia. One of them was a two-seater bicycle around Turia Gardens, which was fantastic. There was a big basket in the front that Margot could sit in, and we drove around the park and all around the park de Arts and Science, which are just fantastic. If you need to know what they look like, you can either look at my photos on Facebook or look at Channel 4 Travel Man Valencia for more information. It was fantastic. Yeah, so we visited some fantastic places. We were staying in the Centro Historico, which I would really recommend. Apart from, there was some sort of institution just around the corner from where we were living. There were loads and loads of disabled people, which was great. But I got the feeling that they were all living in an institution, because we went down one street one day, and there were maybe 5 or 6 disabled people all huddled around a doorway. I tried to have a conversation, but my Spanish probably isn't up to it really. But anyway, so that's where we are. We're now in Barcelona, and it is, I keep saying it's like super hot. It is super hot. We're in an apartment. It's a little bit like 1970s Russia, but it's okay. We're still trying to work out how the air conditioning works. I am going to try to be a bit more organised with my vlogging, because at the moment I'm kind of doing it a bit randomly. But I guess the whole point of all of this is ultimately for when I get to Finland on the 27th of August, when I'm going to talk a bit more about the people that I meet and the schools that I'm going to visit, to see how well they're doing in developing inclusive education. But before then, I'm probably going to talk a bit more about me and access and, I don't know, random stuff, I think, really. Okay, see you soon. Bye. Don't even know how to stop this thing.